In episode 8, Alex takes Wilfred's theory, heads back to the engine, talks to Ben about it, and they start looking at if this theory could actually hold water. And it does. Now, they just have to tell Layton. Layton is currently in a meeting with Asha. He has to find out if what he witnessed in his latest vision is true. If he basically just made the whole thing up based on a calendar. And unfortunately, she confirms that the image that he drew, the image that he saw, was nothing more than an image from a calendar that was in the locker where he found her. He now knows that he made it all up. He then gets the word that Alex is looking for him, so he heads up train. They let him know that some of the track switches have lost power. That's because somebody is moving down the track and flipping them off. When you follow the breadcrumbs, it leads to the Rocky Mountain test track. There is a facility on that test track, so in theory, she could have reached it and gotten a track scaler or a plow, but these are bare bones machines. They're not exactly used to support life. There's a chance that the vehicle is moving and Melanie isn't in it, or Melanie's body is in it. The vehicles are autonomous, so they could continue to go on for years. They've tracked down this vehicle, and it's about 2 days away. They then let Layton know that they got this information from Wilfred. And right away, Layton says, all right, what's his angle? He's got to be messing with us. But instead of waiting for an answer, Layton just says, I'll go find out. And he goes and talks to him. What Layton can't figure out is the fact that Wilfred left Melanie out there to die. So why does he suddenly care if she's alive? Why does he want her back? He figures this might be a ploy to knock them off course and crush their spirit. But Wilfred tells him, I wouldn't do that to Alex. But as Layton knows and Wilfred points out, if there's any hope that she's out there, they have to go after her. And they do. Everybody's in agreement. They're going to take this 2-day detour and they're going to try to find Melanie. Ruth makes an announcement to the entire train letting them know that they're now on a detour and that Melanie could be alive. A lot of people are thrilled about this. One person that isn't is LJ. She finds Osweiler and starts freaking out because she knows that if Melanie gets back on that train and finds them running the night car, she'll put an end to it pretty quickly. Osweiler, though, isn't really concerned. He tells her, we're getting off this train. You just don't seem to believe it. And Osweiler has started to put the wheels in motion for this. He started to preserve food for over a year. LJ doesn't really want to hear about that, though. She's not just willing to sit around. She has to go find out exactly what this is about, and that means finding Wilfred's people. And there's one person she knows she needs to talk to, and it's Dr. Hedwood. Hedwood, though, does not want to see her at all, but LJ weasels her way into the medical bay. She tells Hedwood that she could be useful to Wilfred and his supporters, and it really should concern her that Melanie's about to reboard the train. Hedwood thinks about it and tells her, okay, if you want in, the price is a skin graft. LJ doesn't really have another option, so she agrees to it, and it's really painful, but she weirdly likes it. So, Osweiler, you have yourself a freak on your hands, as if you didn't already know. She thanks LJ for the contribution and tells her, we'll call you when we're ready. But as LJ is leaving, she hears somebody groaning from up top. She asks, who is that? But Dr. Hedwood just ushers her out. After LJ leaves, Dr. Hedwood does head up there to check on her patient, and we don't exactly see who it is, but whoever it is, she's keeping it a pretty good secret. And as LJ was giving that skin graft, Layton was trying to make sure that him and Zara were on good terms, which they are. But then Layton gets a knock at his door, and it's Asha, who is dressed up in a toxic suit, and she lets him know that they have bad news. Asha brought with her onto Snowpiercer a device that reads the atmosphere, and really everything in it. It starts beeping when there's toxicity in the atmosphere, and it started going off. The problem is the satellites on Snowpiercer aren't picking up anything, so at first, Ben and Alex just thinks that Asha's device is malfunctioning. But it's hard to argue with her because she did maintain air quality at a nuclear power plant, so they have to kind of listen to her. And as they're trying to figure out exactly what is in the air, Layton sees it up ahead. It looks like a dust storm, but it's a dust storm full of toxic, acidic materials in the air, and they have to go right through it. They start thinking that Wilfred put them onto this track specifically to run into this toxic air, so they go get him and they confront him about it. But he's just as surprised as they are. He even mentions to Alex, we came through here like 18 months ago. This wasn't here. Now that it's settled that Wilfred really didn't know that it was there, they have to figure out what they're going to do. Wilfred tells him that the HVAC system can handle something like this. And when Asha brings up that whatever's in the air is also corrosive, Wilfred tells her that that was already planned for in the design of Snowpiercer. So it's basically settled. They're going to head through and hope for the best. They do have to make an announcement to Snowpiercer civilians to go shelter in place. Two people that are going to have to do this are Till and Audrey. They were having a good chat about rock bottom and whatnot. When the announcement is made, Roach is actually the one to tell everybody, let's go, people, you got to get moving. And Till asks, what do you need me to do? But Roach tells her, nothing right now, just go shelter in place. Till knows that Audrey has nowhere to go, so she invites her to go shelter in place in her cabin. Once they get into Till's place, Till does call the engine and asks, what do you guys need me to do? But she gets the same response that Roach gave her. Nothing right now, just hang out. Till definitely feels left out. Now Till and Audrey have to figure out something to do to bide their time. Till starts showing Audrey all the food she has and also all the alcohol, but Audrey tells her, I'm actually on the wagon right now. But Till isn't. So she starts drinking a lot, which is something that Audrey has noticed. She can tell that something is really bothering Till, so she puts her through the same procedure that she used to put her customers through in the night car. And what's really bothering Till is who she used to be. Before Leighton took over Snowpiercer, when she was just a brakeman, she was horrible. She just can't believe that person existed. She's kind of freaking out a little bit, and Audrey whispers in her ear, you changed. Your past may be rotten, but your core is not. When Till opens her eyes, she gives Audrey a big hug. She does feel better. Another person who's sheltering in place and gets a surprising visitor is Wilfred. And the visitor is Zara, along with Liana. Zara figures that Wilfred deserves to see Liana. After all, he did a lot for her. As Wilfred is holding Liana, he starts asking, have you noticed any differences because of the cold treatment we gave her? And Zara's kind of turned off and says, no. What do you expect to see? She's really addicted to ice cubes? We're not exactly putting her in a cold box. He then hands over the baby, starts to walk away, but Zara stops him and says, I think I've figured this out. Everyone's expecting a savior in Melanie, but she's a complete wild card, and you think she'll be divisive. Wilfred brushes that aside and says, all I did was provide some facts. I didn't even provide proof of life. Zara, though, doesn't trust him. A little bit down train, Roach, who is essential, goes and checks on Callie. Callie's still mourning the loss of her mother, and everything that happened, she kind of puts it in the viewpoint of what her mother would be going through. So the fact that Melanie might be out there, she starts thinking, what if her mom's out there too, even though she knows that she's not. Roach tells Callie what he does to help cope with the pain. And it's a little ridiculous, but he tells himself that Anne is currently in the closet. He knows she's not, but it does help. He then gets Callie's mind off things by playing an old cassette tape and singing horribly. Another two that are essential are Javi and Sykes. They're going train to train just to see if the air quality is still pure, and it is. One of the trains, though, features Wilfred's dogs, and Sykes is helping Javi get over his fear of the animal. He's doing better, but as soon as the dog barks, he gets out of there. He can't get over the fact that he's supposed to lead people off this train, but he gets terrified when a simple dog barks at him, and Sykes tries to calm him down. They continue to move car to car, and everything's going fine until they reach one particular car where the air quality is crap. That's because in this one particular car, the air from the outside isn't quite getting filtered properly. Javi and Sykes let the engine know, they put on some gas masks, and they start checking the filter. And as soon as they open it up, that toxic air rushes in. The filters are completely corroded. They also can't seal the air in. If they don't stop it soon, it's going to spread throughout the train, and they're going to have a real issue on their hands. To make things worse for Javi, Sykes goes down. So he has to drag her into a completely separate compartment and just hunker down until help arrives. And help has to act quickly because this toxic air is spreading through a bunch of compartments that are very important, like vegetation, poultry, things that you definitely need. Leighton and Asha put on some hazmat suits and get to work. They start heading down train, and the first people they find are Javi and Sykes. When they release them, Javi tells them what they're going to have to do, and then he takes Sykes to go get some help. She's still struggling quite a bit. When it comes to containing the leak, Leighton and Asha are going to have to do this thing manually. The problem is, they can't fit through a small hole with the suits that they're wearing on. Leighton says, all right, I'll just take my suit off. But Ben warns him, you cannot do that. If you do that, you'll be dead in a couple of minutes. Problem is, they don't really have another option. It's either Leighton sacrifices himself for the betterment of the train or everybody on the train dies. Asha decides she's not going to let that happen. She knocks Leighton down, takes off her suit, and heads through the hole. Leighton can't stop her, so he starts directing her on what she's supposed to do. And it works. Asha is able to stop the spread of the air. But just like Ben warned her, she was only going to last a couple of minutes. She can't make her way back up through the hole to put her suit back on. Her last dying wish from Leighton is to describe exactly what he saw in his vision. Leighton feels horrible, though. Ruth comes and finds him and tries to make him feel better about the fact that this was Asha's decision. And he basically vows to find New Eden for her, even though he still knows that he made up New Eden. The good news is, though, Snowpiercer gets through this toxic air cloud. Ben gives the all clear and everybody can stop sheltering in place. Up in the front of the train in the engine, Alex and Ben know that they should be close enough to get the location of exactly where Melanie could be. And then all of a sudden, on the map, it pops up. Now it's just a matter of going and getting her. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. Make sure to be nice in the comment section. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen there, I'll get it up in a few days, not to worry. And I have merchandise, so go buy a mug or something. It's never too early to think about Christmas gifts, folks. Once again, thank you for checking out this recap.